Hello again, Damian Murdoch from World Class Friend back with you. And this is the third and final video in this little series I've done on taking charge of anxiety and taking back charge of your life. So I've been going over the concept of the results chain, which is the chain of events which leads to any outcome you get in life. So we're learning to intervene in this chain to change the course of the chain from a negative result, such as anxiety, towards an outcome that we want. We've gone over how to intervene in the fifth box, the action or behaviour, and learned the trinity of emotional state control to intervene at the fourth box. But as we said, the earlier we can intervene, the better. And so today we're going to go further back in the chain, and we're going to start by intervening in the interpretation or meaning phase. The following piece is taken from the free course on taking charge of anxiety that you can find on our website. And it talks about how we can choose the way we interpret things and the way we respond to things, rather than being reactive to whatever situation you find yourself in. Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist famous for his book Man's Search for Meaning. The book's about his experiences as a prisoner of the Nazi death camps in World War II, and about who was able to survive one of the harshest environments you can imagine, and why. He talks about the conditions in the camp and also the treatment that they were subjected to by the guards. You can imagine how often these prisoners were triggered, and it was your response to these triggers which had a significant bearing on your survival. He says, between the stimulus and your response is a space, and within that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. And in those choices lie our growth and happiness. So it's here, in this link of the chain, where we interpret the things that go on during our day. Every moment is a multiple choice question where we choose the meaning we're putting on events. We need to understand what's happening in the moment, detach ourselves from the situation, which is a skill you'll learn in the World Class Friend programs, and become aware of the space or choice point. And rather than reacting unconsciously, we're choosing what that event means, and then we're choosing our response. Now, what I'm talking about here, that ability to be able to detach yourself from the situation and find that space or that choice point where you can then choose the way you're interpreting and choose the way you're responding to a situation, that's a skill and it takes practice. It's something the US Navy SEALs teach, for example, and they won't be sent into battle until they've mastered that skill. Once you've found that space or choice point, the way that I suggest you take charge of the meaning is through a series of questions which will help give you a new perspective of the situation. I call them meaning questions, and there's 6 of them, and I'll go through them and explain them in more detail on the free course that you can find on our website. They take you from running scenarios in your head that lead to a downward spiral from this meaning or interpretation point, to taking action that completely changes the course of the chain to something that leads in an upward direction towards what you want. You take charge of the meaning and therefore take charge of the result. Over time, with practice, going through these questions in your mind becomes the habit. So handling things that cause you stress or anxiety in this way becomes the unconscious chain. You don't even know you're doing it. And then you haven't got things like anxiety, depression, anger, or overwhelm controlling your life. And opportunities for positive results, whatever they are for you, those opportunities start to open up. Now, the third of the 6 questions asks, what am I deciding in order to feel this way? The answer to this question pulls out the belief that is being triggered there in the second box, and this is ultimately what we want to get to. So I hope that makes sense. If it's confusing, don't worry, it will make sense when we go through it in more detail. What we want to do is identify what is triggering your anxiety and then change that at the subconscious level so that we're not being triggered. So that might sound complicated, but it's just a process we go through to get to that point. So what do I mean by belief? I'll play another part from our free course that I'll explain. Remember we said that the brain's primary job is to keep us alive, so it will naturally lean towards showing us the perceived threats. And what we perceive a threat has been programmed into our subconscious mind by our beliefs. And we can see here that it's this belief getting triggered there in the second box that causes the release of chemicals which ultimately lead to the symptoms we're experiencing. So while the skills we've learned to intervene in this results chain are all vital skills for all types of situations, ultimately we'd rather not be triggered into unnecessary anxiety in the first place. And that means shining a light on these beliefs and the role they're playing in our lives. So what do I mean by beliefs? Beliefs are our personal rules for life, what we assume to be true about the world, other people, and ourselves. What's good or bad, right or wrong, what's possible or not possible, should, shouldn't, will, won't. They're judgments that we use to make sense of the world, essentially to keep us protected, whether that be from physical harm or from harm to our image. They provide the lens or filter through which you view the world. Where do beliefs come from? Well, most we take on by the age of 7, from your upbringing or the environment or society you grew up in, and then often from various authority figures. Beliefs on things like religion, politics, money, careers, the roles of the different genders, people that look or act differently to what you do, the way we're expected to act. These things tend to be passed down. So some of the ones you operate from and get triggered by may not even be yours. Another way beliefs are formed is from decisions we make, the way we interpret situations as we move through life, particularly from significant emotional events. When we put meaning on an event, from that decision or interpretation, a belief is formed or further entrenched. What you'll find is many of the beliefs we carry about ourselves and the world result from an interpretation we made long ago, maybe as a child or teenager, when we really didn't know any better. And yet we hold on to them like gospel and move through the world continuing to look for evidence to support them, further entrenching them as we go and subconsciously blocking out evidence that may go against them. People tend to fight hard for their beliefs, even though these beliefs we make about ourselves and the world can cause us a lot of pain and sabotage our happiness. It seems that humans would rather be in pain and feel right than admit we were wrong or that there may be a different way to see things. Behind this anxiety you're facing are your beliefs, your personal operating system. We've all lived different lives, so we've all developed a different operating system, our own model or map of reality. It's as unique to us as our thumbprint. At the moment, your map is leading to anxiety. If you can speak, then you can speak in public. If other people can get up and do it and not pass out in the spot, it's clearly not public speaking that is the problem. What is your belief around public speaking or yourself in relation to it? And of course, public speaking is just the example we're using. Your issue may be something completely different. The people you look at as being extraordinary have radically different models or maps of reality, a whole different idea of what they believe is possible, because they see the world through a different lens or filter of their beliefs. There is a different way to look at the world, and it comes into view by shining a light on these beliefs that are being triggered. What you'll find is many of these beliefs really don't stand up to scrutiny. As we've said, they may have been formed as a child or perhaps come from a time long ago when the world was very different. The good news is that these beliefs aren't fixed, they can be changed. When you become conscious of them, you can then choose which ones you want to keep and which you'll change, rather than continue to operate by the ones that you took on unconsciously. What I want to do is take you through processes that first identify these beliefs that are contributing to your anxiety, and then second, change them at the subconscious level so that you're not being triggered by them. I believe one of the best things you can ever do is look at what you believe to be true about yourself and the world. When you change a belief, you change the way that you react to things, and therefore you change the way that the world responds back to you. And you also change the boundaries of your comfort zone. So with anxiety, you might have found that your comfort zone starts to close in on you, and that's what happened to me that I explained in the first video. More and more things became uncomfortable until it got to the point where I couldn't leave it was difficult to leave the bedroom, let alone leave the house. Well, those boundaries of your comfort zone are formed by your beliefs. And so when you examine them and selectively decide to change them, you change the boundaries of that comfort zone. And then what we'll do is we'll slowly but surely start to expand the boundaries of that comfort zone, expand what's comfortable for you. And as you do that, you'll find a world of possibilities starts to open up for you. And it becomes an exciting way to live. It's a great way to live. And it's like that old saying goes, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Now, those processes to identify and change beliefs are a part of our program, the system that I talk about. And I'll now give you a few options. I'm getting more information on the concepts that I've introduced over the last few days. Firstly, if you know that this program is something that you need to do, then send me an email which will come directly to me. I run the program myself. So email me direct at doc@worldclassfriend.com. So that's DOC@worldclassfriend.com. All right, a little bit about the program. The complete system is 10 sessions, and that's $890, and that'll take you through the skills, the tools, the processes that are going to enable you to change the way that your mind and body is responding. So that's $890 for the complete system of 10 sessions. The other alternative is to just buy part A of it. There's 3 parts to the system, so you can buy just part A, which is 3 sessions, and that's $330. And then if you choose to go on, I certainly hope you do, you can just pay off the rest of it as you go. But if you pay up front for the 10 sessions, it works out about $210 off. So it's certainly worth doing. If you're not ready to do that for whatever reason, the second option is to go to our website, which is worldclassfriend.com. And on that website, you'll find that there's a free course, and you can download that, and that'll take you through these concepts that I've introduced over the last few days and expand on them. And it'll start to give you that awareness of what's going on in your mind and body, and then the checklists and the what to do about it. So you can get that for free at worldclassfriend.com. All right, and then the third option is to go to our Facebook page, which is Taking Charge of Anxiety, and give that a like. And I'll just be continuing to provide information and content on anxiety and what's going on in your mind and body. So again, you've got that awareness of what's happening, and then some information on what you can do about it. So they're the three options. You can join up straight away, you can get that free course, or you can like our Facebook page. Other than that, I really hope this has helped, and if anxiety is a problem in your life, I really hope that you can get past that. And I'd love to help in whatever way I can in that process. So get in touch. That email again, doc@worldclassfriend.com. That's doc@worldclassfriend.com. And like and share, subscribe to wherever you're finding these videos. And I hope to chat to you soon. I'm Damian Murdoch from World Class Friend. Cheers.